Well, let us know when the music's running so we know when to talk over it.
Right now.
Okay. So, why did what? No, I'll get to that. It's part of the announcement. Other people have got to talk over the music.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's not just me. Everyone should be sorry. We should all be very sorry.
How much I inspired the fact that I still don't know. And how I'm going on holiday next week, and it's probably all going to get announced when I'm on holiday.
Well, no, GDC's been
probably going to
cancelled,
catch
isn't it?
coronavirus. Yeah.
Don't. I'll get to it.
I'm going to catch it,
We're
Keith,
live.
and then I'm going to come back, and my internet's going to be off.
That's going to be the worst thing. I've got a highly infectious disease, but my internet's down.
When I'm quarantined.
I can't even distract myself with an entertaining PlayStation 5 reveal or something like that.
Matt, the music's finished, hasn't it?
Yeah, the music's been finished for a little while.
Yeah. Okay. So is it time for me to do the public service announcement?
Yes.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I would like to apologise for the lack of episode last week, although it is available on YouTube. However, I don't know what the Wisconsinite conspiracy is and what possible dirt they have on Matt that would make him ruin my birthday episode so badly. I think this is some kind of insidious, underhand reckoning on the behalf of the two Wisconsiners, Mitch, ding dong, the Mitch is gone, Sikorsky, and Evan, the stand user. They've conspired somehow to ruin my birthday episode with sound quality issues. Matt, you are a free person. You didn't have to kowtow to whatever they had over you. You didn't need to do it.
So my theory is that it's a bug with OBS since I updated. Because it did
Don't have to apologize for them. Just out them.
But it did happen with Corner Comics today as well. So I have to figure that out. But right now, everything
that was just covering for yourself. Whatever they have on you can't be big enough that you would ruin my birthday episode of the Beerumverate.
I am sorry about that, dude. That sucks.
I look fabulous, by the way. It's available on YouTube.
It is.
There is some interesting snippets before we... And then we come back, and then we start talking interesting shit again. Right, before I change, I'd like to introduce our guests, changing up the format a little bit. We'll start with Julian. Thank you very much for coming back on.
For having me.
Pleasure to have you. Last time you were on, it was a little while ago, but you were quite possibly the most insightful person on the podcast. So thank you very much for coming back to raise the intellectual quality somewhat. And Dan, thanks for coming on before you have to rush off and do something else.
No, I've cancelled my plans.
Especially to do this.
Yeah.
Holy...
It didn't go down very well, but it's fine. I managed to...
smooth that over.
Yeah, I managed to find other things for my wife to do. So she's gone out for a girls' night. So
you weren't being leveraged by two Wisconsiners, were you?
Well, you could say that. You could say. they get into you and they message you privately and all sorts of things.
These insidious bastards. Liam, nice to see you again.
Hey, man.
Right, Matt, change my name.
Oh, all right. Hold on.
I can check to see whether you're doing it as well.
All right. I think we're good.
I like the background as well.
Oh, thank you.
No, you haven't changed one. Oh, okay. Was it? Wait, that's Dan's dog.
That's my
We've
dog.
missed your dog, man.
It's not my dog this time. My dog.
Not your dog this time.
Yeah, sorry about that last time.
Right. I would just like to cover off this thing about the coronavirus and its impact on games conferences that are happening around the world. Now, firstly, I'd like to say to anyone who feels aggrieved by the fact that these are being cancelled, I care about as much as you're boo-hooing about these being cancelled as I do the getting rid of fluff from my navel. I thought that would get more of a comedic response than I actually got, but there we go.
Sorry.
Right, so here's some things that people should know about the coronavirus. This is a form of coronavirus, same as influenza and the common cold. Therefore, it is subject to rapid mutation. We also have, this is a new form of virus, so we have no innate immunity to it, and there is no vaccine. World Health Organization projections project that this uncontrolled spread could reach 50% of the entire world's population. So 50% of the UK, that's 30 million people. With a mortality rate at 2%, that's 600,000 people a year who could die of this disease. Now, that's nothing to be sniffed at. So if you're talking about, oh, it's only as bad as the flu, or it's not as bad as the flu, do you want another version of an influenza-type virus to spread across the planet uncontrollably and kill hundreds of thousands of people a year? No, you shouldn't. So shut up and stop your whining. End.
I really wanted to say
the mayor of Boston wants to have a word with you.
Yeah, I mean, I would point out that the flu kills
more people.
Influenza.
Yeah, it's like 10. It's like 10.
Came around before we had
rate.
vaccines, and it does kill more people. Yes, but going back to what I said, the coronavirus is highly mutagenic. So the flu vaccine that someone would get for this year is actually based on last year's virus. All it does is give you a reduced immuno response. It doesn't actually cure you of anything. So you can still catch it. You can still suffer from it. You'll just end up with a reduced immuno response. So do we want two versions of flu that can kill hundreds of thousands of people a year floating around the planet? So in terms of the response...
That's the problem, though, isn't it?
It already is.
Is that coronavirus is vastly more...
infectious.
It's vastly more infectious.
Yeah, it is.
So that's why all of the action is being taken to control the spread of the virus as much as is possible, even though the mortality rate is around 2% of the population and flu is around somewhere between 5 and 7%. But we can't get rid of flu. It's been around for too long. We didn't have the measures in place to control influenza when it actually started. We do have those measures in place now. So why are people bitching and moaning about putting those measures in place to stop hundreds of thousands of people from dying?
Agreed.
All right.
Can I just add something? What's pissing me off is that people have stopped buying fucking Corona beer. That's the most, and it actually is true. Their stock has gone down and people have stopped buying it. It's bloody bizarre.
Well, you should be aware that in Italy, the Peroni outbreak has been really bad. And the first case that was found in Dublin, the Guinness outbreak has been terrible.
It's ridiculous. These people. There you go.
Right. Hello, welcome. We are the Beerumverate. We are a group of guys who get together and talk about good beer and video games and other things. I am sort of the host. We'll just go with that. I'm the host. Mark Womble. Matt is here as always doing the technical stuff that went wrong last week. Don't worry, it wasn't his fault. He was forced to do it. This week we are joined by Julian, Dan, and regular Liam to talk about video game monetization strategies. And I would also like to add to that the launch of the Beerumverate own server-based gaming system, as you can see behind me. Now, for a measly £29.99 UK pounds a month, you can play such legendary titles as BBC computer strategy game Mysteries of the West.
I've never heard of this game. I am immediately intrigued.
Well, it's a BBC computer game from the mid 80s, so you wouldn't. And that's it. So give us your money.
What
We
do you
will
mean,
send
no
you
solitaire?
It doesn't play solitaire just yet because that was
gutted.
I'm sure we'll get it quicker than games on Stadia.
Probably, yeah.
I fucking knew where I was going. And we'll send you a keyboard for if you pay us the Foundation launch Epic Edition for $249. We'll send you the kit, and you will be able to play said BBC game.
Will they be able to set up their own server at home?
Oh no, of course not. It has to run from their remote server at home to our central server, or my central server just here. And then it'll work.
Mm.
And it doesn't matter about lag because it's you type all the commands in.
Easy, perfect.
Nice.
And that keyboard.
So I've solved lag. I mean, come on. Right, Matt.
Yes.
Rumors? Does anyone have any rumors?
No. Well, I don't. I don't know if anybody else does. I'll take that as a no. No rumors from anybody else.
That's normally my line. Right, beers. Who wants to do beers?
I'm drinking the Wild Beer Company Eagle Hunter Citrus Pale Ale. There we go.
I love it.
It's quite nice, actually. That has an orangey taste as you're drinking.
Julian, we know from previously, isn't a beer drinker. So how is the Fiji water?
The Fiji water, let me tell you, is incredible. The texture and taste and just that spring freshness is just incredible. It has an aesthetic that is just second to none.
He's just filled the bottle up with tap water. Right, I've got something special. I bought this when my wife and I went to Kingston upon Thames and went to 7,000 Jars of Beer, who've got a stupid amount of different beers on sale. Matt would love it because they've got loads of milk stouts for no apparent reason.
Okay.
But I got this, which Hop Suplex Ale.
Ooh.
Now, it's the kind of beer that Evan would describe as a session beer. It's only 10% alcohol by volume.
No way.
That's good.
That's high. Yeah.
Sounds good. That's what you like to get on in a night. 10%. Whew.
So, Liam, have you got anything you want to add to this before?
I've just got one that I buy fairly often. See, I'm thinking about life. And death
Really?
And
quite
death.
often lately. Yes.
And death.
Especially life. Life is important.
Yeah.
I've decided to do a beer this afternoon as well. I don't remember if I had this on last week or not. I did.
You had it from the same brewery, but I don't believe it was that one.
Einstock. It's a Icelandic beer. So this is their Arctic Pale Ale. Last week I think I had the Toasted Porter. But yeah, it's pretty decent.
Looks nice. Good color.
Yeah, nice color. Not too hoppy. The Arctic, I guess I get that because it does kind of have like a cool, clean taste to it. But yeah, overall, I'm loving these guys' beers. So,
did you just say guises?
Loving these guys' beers. Yeah. So,
you do realize
it's literally made from the geysers.
Geysers.
Right. So here's what.
Oh yeah.
Color looks like. Oh, and Evan, this is how you pour beer properly.
I'd have a glass, so I'm just going to go cheap, the proper British way, and just drink out of the can.
I'm with you.
That's dangerous stuff.
I'm lazy.
Did it taste dangerous? It sounded dangerous.
But the problem
Are
is,
you still going to be sitting upright by the end of the episode? That's the question.
it's surprisingly fruity. It's surprisingly kind of malty on the palate, and really doesn't taste like it's 10% ABV.
oh yeah, that's dangerous.
This is dangerous stuff.
Oh, God.
Right. I need to be careful with
Have another sip,
that.
Keith.
Matt,
Yes.
so since we didn't talk about the topic that I wanted to talk about on my birthday episode, what topic are we talking about today? Which also isn't the topic that I wanted to talk about.
This week we are talking about alternative monetization strategies for video games, and also I guess you threw in streaming too. So,
Which I think counts as a potential alternative
yeah.
monetization strategy.
Yeah, definitely.
Would you like to kick us off?
No, I wouldn't, but I will if you want me to. No, yeah. So I was thinking about this topic just because I was kind of curious of what alternative monetization strategies for games, other than buying a game at $60 at the store, have we fallen into? You know, the FIFAs and the Maddens, the Ultimate Teams. Do we spend any money on that kind of stuff? Do we spend any money on skins and loot boxes? Are we privy to streaming services or subscription services for games, episodic games? You know, what are the different ways in which companies can extract money from us, and which are the best ways that we will happily go along with it? So I was kind of curious what people's thoughts were on that.
Would you like to introduce someone to go first, since there's 5 of us and it might end up being a bit tricky if everyone talks at once?
Since Eagle Man is to my left on the screen, I'll pass it to Dan.
Okay, well, me personally, I fall into the monthly subscription service model. As I'm a PlayStation player, but when Xbox announced Game Pass on PC, I jumped straight in, and I've now subscribed for 7 months since E3 when they announced that. And actually, because it's $3.99 I'm paying. Maybe I should be paying more, but I'm not. Well, I've told everyone now it's on the internet. But hopefully Microsoft aren't watching this and they let up my subscription model. But yeah, for $3.99 a month, it's not bad. And as you said, I've managed to play lots of Xbox games, and when they come out day and date with everything else, and I don't mind playing them on PC, can hook up a controller. So yeah, that seems to work. I've never really been a loot box kind of person or anything, or skins or Ultimate Team. I know a lot of people in the UK are into that model, but so I think if PlayStation did something like that, not streaming, not now, but something like Game Pass, I would probably be using that as well, to be honest.
Okay.
Can I just quickly, because I'm known for not talking over people and being too loquacious or anything like that. So in terms of streaming services, because that seems to be where the majority of people want, the majority of platform holders or the people who own the technology to enable you to do that. So you've got NVIDIA GeForce Now currently. So currently you've got NVIDIA GeForce Now, you've got PlayStation Now, you've got Project X Cloud, you've got
Stadia,
sort of Google Stadia.
Yeah.
Does it work?
To be decided.
TBD. But in future, then you've got Apple, Amazon.
Yeah.
Who else? There's another rumored person who's going to get into it.
Well, there's already Apple Arcade on iOS.
Apple Arcade.
Yeah, there is, true.
That's good.
So how many streaming services do these people think that normal people can actually afford every month?
Well, I think they're looking at the TV model, and it's the same thing there. So I think they're thinking, oh, it's working on TV. I don't think it is, but I think that's what they're thinking. So yeah, we'll jump in, we'll get a piece of the pie as well. And I honestly think that's where it's come from.
It can't. Yeah, it obviously has, but it can't possibly be sustainable.
Oh no.
So how many? Right. So I've got Netflix, Amazon Prime. I literally before I came on here saw an advert for you can get Disney Plus in the UK for a year for $49.99.
Yeah,
Hell yes, I'm going to do that.
I did that a week ago.
So that's the 3 video streaming services that I am or will sign up to. I recently cancelled Now TV, and I can't possibly afford to keep paying for more and more media streaming services. So why does there seem to be this push as this being the way to sell people games other than actually to sell you a game?
Because they hold the control, right? It's distancing the consumer from having that
ownership over the product.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'd have said. Ownership over the product. Yeah. Because I'd have said, because obviously with Game Pass, you own the game, but you download it onto your system and then play it, which I think is always the better option. I think streaming a video game, you're always going to have issues. I just think there will be. And so for instance, if my internet goes down and I've got a single player on Game Pass, I can play that game. Whereas if the internet goes down the streaming service, I've got no games. You just sat there in a room looking at a dark screen. And that's the same with TV as well. If my internet goes down, I've got no TV because everything I do is stream.
Dan, do you find yourself worrying about this more in the advent of coronavirus on the horizon, where you just think, if my streaming service gets cancelled, I've got no games to play. I buy all my games digitally. I've got no games to play. I've on the hard drive.
100%. I do think
Internet goes down. Got no movies to watch. No TV shows. I can't even listen to music on Spotify.
Agreed. Everything is connected to the internet. And especially in some rural parts of the UK, literally it's a joke. You go there and it's like, oh, no signal. All right, I've got we at Christmas we went to we hired some family lodge. My family came there and they're like, oh, I was like, I'll bring my PlayStation, so I'll have Sky have Sky playing. Got there, the internet was so dog shit. Basically, we didn't. So I could play video games, but the TV idea went completely out the window. And I was like, what do you do now then? Oh, watch BBC 1, 2, 3, and 4. Because we did have an aerial, luckily. But even that's going away.
It's like when you're just craving the Monopoly board.
Smacks of desperation. So we're getting to a point, and I'd want Julian's take on this because he's sat there either smiling or looking slightly pensive at us 4 idiots talking.
Speak for yourself.
I normally do.
I'll be the intellectual British person to be like.
You mean intellectual?
That's what I said.
Oh, sorry.
I thought you said interlingual for a second.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay, I guess it doesn't mean that.
It doesn't matter. Evan is an English teacher, and he wrote a message on our Discord server and sent something on a DM on Twitter that could have been read in multiple different ways. So either he visited the venue where he was getting married today, or he was getting married today and visited the venue.
Yeah.
And this guy's an English teacher. So one of the things that does trouble me is the entry level pricing. Of it, gone are the days when you could just buy a game, plug it in machine, and play a game. Now, I haven't even drunk that much today.
Is that 10%?
Now, it's this kind of buy disc. Your disc is your entry level, and on top of that, you have season pass, cosmetic DLC, potentially loot boxes, potentially individually sold DLC rather than packaged or season passed.
Yeah,
it's that worries me, and it's before I introduced Julian to please, for the love of God, say something. the worry is why have we got away from the model that was there a few years ago? Is you priced your games according to how much it actually cost. So previously, if you wanted to buy a game on Super Nintendo, the price did vary. So now we've entered into this fixed price model, and everyone said the cost of games has gone up. Yes, it has. Part of the problem with that is you, as a games developing community, have chosen to take that route. So it seems as though the differentiated pricing model has gone away from it cost us this much to make the game, therefore if we sell it for this much, that's our profit margin. From it cost us this much to make the game, our profit margin previously would have been this, but we actually want to sell more than just the game to make our profit margin this. And I'm speaking from these are actual mathematical relationships. I don't know if you knew that. It's just my hands work like that. Julian, please say something.
Sure. Okay. So I'll start right there on pricing. So logically, in the past, when gaming was a smaller business, smaller industry, it makes sense logically that you would price based on development costs, overhead for the development studio, overhead for the publisher. But in today's world, you also have to factor in for competition. So there's hundreds of thousands of games, especially if you're obviously including PC and Steam. There's so much competition. That's the biggest thing. So as a game developer, let's use indie developers who pick their own pricing as an example. You're going to naturally, you almost have to price, you have to somewhat do some level of markup because you have to account for the fact this game might actually be worth $25 to us in terms of what we actually produce. But do we anticipate that this is going to get any traction on Steam when there's 50 other games coming out the same day? So maybe instead of 25, we have to now charge it at 35 because you have to account for the fact that maybe 60, 70% of the audience that is actually targeted at our game might not discover it for years or ever. So you have to make more off the people who are actually going to buy the thing for you to be able to keep the lights on. Because again, the biggest factor for all games today, especially for games that aren't coming from traditional brands, traditional studios like Nintendo and Rockstar, is how do you get in front of people's faces for them to even consider it in the first place? So all of that's going to roll into your logic on pricing.
Right. So one thing I want to pick up on is the early adopters and potential gouging of early adopters, or say people who are invested in a particular series, and companies using specific tactics to go after those people. And the example,
Sorry.
I was actually going to choose a different one. I was going to go with Capcom.
Right.
Okay, actually, I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Anyone mention Street Fighter? Yeah, so Capcom's monetization of Street Fighter is obnoxious, but not quite as obnoxious as Dead or Alive. So again, just before I came on here, I saw the first 3 minutes of an 8-minute Jim Sterling rant about the latest monetization option for Dead or Alive 6, which is people have to buy the different hair colors for their fighters.
Keith, them titties are expensive.
Yeah, they are. If you want all of the DLC for Dead or Alive 6, it will cost you nearly $2,000.
That brand is still a class of its own. There's nothing even to compare it to.
Ridiculous.
So,
Jesus Christ.
how can you possibly justify those kinds of monetization strategies? You can't say that the development cost of the game warrants that kind of. Matt.
Well, I was going to say, I think, we're in this paradigm of the $60 game, but really we've left that behind.
You and Julian are in the paradigm of the $60 game.
Well,
40 quid. If you're lucky, 42 quid.
So pricing in the UK does actually vary. So yeah. I've bought games for $42.99, $44.99 $49.99, and then you get into the realms of the kind of special edition, collector's edition stuff.
Right.
But,
so we're in the illusion of a $60 paradigm, because you have games like Death Stranding.
Is the entire US American dream an illusion?
Well, that's a whole other show.
That'd take us a long time to debate. Yes.
I'd be happy to discuss that. But no, but you have games like Death Stranding, which is your typical AAA $60 game, but they've offset the cost by having monster cans. Just
the advertising.
Yeah, the
in-game advertising.
the obligatory in-game advertising. So I think. Yeah, I mean, we haven't been in that paradigm for a lot of years, as much as people want to believe it. The actual game, the actual AAA game, if you want to buy it, is $120 with everything added on, or it's $60 with in-game advertising, or you're buying it up front and pre-ordering in order for this studio to justify the development costs.
I have a question for you, Mr. Burkhoff.
Yes.
Which do you believe to be more egregious? Because the reaction of video game fans was slightly confusing in my mind.
When isn't it?
Agreed. Which was the reaction to adverts in Uncharted was really quite strong.
But
what are the reaction to what?
What did they advertise in Uncharted? I don't even remember.
Monster Energy drinks, wasn't it?
You talking about Death Stranding?
No, there was one in Uncharted.
Oh, I didn't even know that it was in there. I didn't notice it.
I didn't know about that.
It might have been in the multiplayer.
Okay.
Oh.
All right.
Mountain Dew and Doritos. Hopefully.
Mountain Dew. That's the one. Not Monster Energy. Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew. So they paid for loads of adverts to go into lots of different video games, and that had a much angrier response than, say, the predatory tactics of loot boxes and in-game gambling mechanics. And I'm just wondering why people think that might be, starting with Matt. Because people are stupid. Okay, Julian, what do you think?
I mean, I honestly think a lot of that comes down to the pedigree that Naughty Dog has accrued over two and a half decades now. So it's like, I'm sure people hold Naughty Dog to a certain quality and integrity standard that they wouldn't necessarily with a Blizzard or an EA or an Activision or any of those companies. So I'm sure, like, for people, if you have a certain perception of Naughty Dog and then you see a Mountain Dew ad in an Uncharted game, it's got to be like a jarring experience for a lot of people. So I could see how they would come from that. And then you get outraged and then you get questions that you wouldn't in other cases. And people aren't necessarily happy about it in those other cases. But if you see in FIFA or Madden, you see a beer or a Gatorade advertisement, if you see a shoe
Uncharted
ad,
3 Drake's Deception had Subway commercials. That's what I was thinking of.
So shout out to Final Fantasy 15. I will never forget the Cup of Noodles and Coleman.
Yeah.
Like, not only were there ads, you were using Coleman camping products. That was next level.
Oh man, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, that game took it to another
So
level.
weird.
Like, you're using Coleman and blankets, heated blankets. Yeah, that game was next level.
I don't get why people get upset by that. I just don't understand. It's not affecting you in any way, really. I know maybe subconsciously it's affecting you to go buy Coleman, but not in the same way that loot boxes and all that is actually monetarily damaging.
Yeah, I don't want product placement in my games. Product placement bad. Well, predatory monetization tactics through loot boxes. Good or acceptable. It's like, whoa.
That's what I mean. It just seems warped. If someone wants to put a Coleman barbecue in my game, whoop-de-doo, they put a card. But if you're asking me to click a button and roll the dice and go, oh, you've got a blanket from your loot box, and the other guy got an AK-47, yeah.
I'll tell you what, if someone put Coleman's mustard in a JRPG, that would be the first JRPG I bought.
Love it. As long as it's with
Just wait until it's Yakuza.
Right. So, spinning this around somewhat. So, if there is a question to everyone, will go round. So on my screen, I've got Matt, Julian, Dan, Liam. Do you think that there are alternative monetization strategies away from the current models that we currently have? Quick go round. Matt?
No.
Julian?
I mean, in terms of the broad spectrum of ways to give people options to spend money, I could definitely see in the future. Actually, I think I talked about it a little bit last time I was on. I definitely think in the future, things like demos, it's going to start to something like what Stadia was talking about when it was initially revealed, of like letting people play for a certain amount of time. Like, okay, 20 minutes of your Assassin's Creed demo. Your 20 minutes is up. Now pay us $15 and we'll let you finish this quest. I think that kind of stuff, especially on the PC side, is going to be very pervasive in the next decade, of like giving people easy access points where things are free. You can try something, but then there's going to be ways to monetize it after a certain amount of time. I think that's going to be the future of monetization for the before.
Not quick, but brilliant answer. Dan?
I'm actually going to kind of go, not the same way, but say that I think they're going to start charging people to play betas. I think for big games, they're going to say, if you want to jump into this game, into our beta, you have to give us $1 and stuff like that, which is going to be horrific. But I think I wouldn't put it past the gaming industry.
I think Liam was just sick in his mouth.
Yeah, I think he was.
All right, pay money to make Anthem a better game.
Yeah,
Thanks,
exactly.
EA. Yeah.
And it'd probably be EA who does that initiative.
I felt like I'd wasted my time when I did it for free, but thanks, EA.
So that's the way, Liam. Where do you think there could be potentially, or not, different ways of?
Well, my perspective on it is I don't think any of the methods they use currently are so much the problem. It's the greed that comes with the way they use all of these methods of extracting money from us. Yeah, I think these are all pretty interesting ways of trying to get money from people, but they always take it one step too far. And they're like, oh, we could charge a sensible amount of money for this, but let's instead make them pay a small fortune for a meaningless box filled with shit that has no value outside of this video game. And they just take the piss, and they know that a certain demographic of people will buy it, and then there's another demographic of people that will buy shit tons of it, and they'll make a fortune from it. And so it looks like a great offer to anybody who's an idiot, but to everybody else, it just looks ridiculous. And we think
I wouldn't necessarily call those people who are susceptible idiots.
Yeah,
there are a proportion of people who are idiots. There are a proportion of people who are susceptible.
We call them whales, and they're just very susceptible.
Yeah,
and also
So-
quick nod for people who just I think about it all the time, like the people who play Overwatch every day and buy loot boxes in that game, or Ultimate Team, or any of these things. If this is the only game you play, just like anything, the value of stuff is going to be much higher. It's Fortnite, any of these games. If this is what you play every day, like a gamer is looking for more money to buy more games. So I can empathize and relate to these different people, because I was previously someone who played a lot fewer games than I do now. So I can see the logic behind, if this is the primary or the only game I play, the money that someone else is going to go use to go buy another game, you're going to go sink that money into the game you're already playing. So if that's Fortnite, that's new skins, that's emotes. In that sense, that's also something that Bear is mentioning too, is like value is different, is relative. And value is going to be higher for in-game content if that is your game. If you're someone who plays World of Warcraft and has played it for 10 years, you're not going to scoff at any price they put on something compared to someone who plays World of Warcraft a couple times a month. So that is a huge component of this.
Julian, I think that's a lot of the reason why Fortnite is so... It has a very good marketing system. It works, and they're fair with it. So, I mean, sometimes they'll go a little bit far.
It's
but
pretty in your face.
They're very fair to their consumers in terms of what's on offer. I mean, the more you play, the more you get out of it as well.
What I would say is,
if you play the game a lot, you don't pay that much in reality.
And what I would say is also the barrier of entry for Fortnite is free.
Exactly.
So I think if I paid $60 or 60 quid or 40 quid for a game, I'm a lot more pissed off if you're shoving loot boxes in my face or legating content. When it's a free game, you're like, oh yeah, I'll play 3-4 quid for something because it's free. I feel like it kind of leads you into a false sense of security. If you've done 5 seasons on it, yeah, it starts stacking up, I'm sure. But if you that initial jump in, you're like, oh, it's only a few quid. Yeah, this is free. Yeah, I'll give some money back. I think that's part of it as well.
No, it's good that I gave Julian his Kojima name that I did, because that was very insightful. And I'd like to pick up on that, because the example of that very person is my best friend. Pretty much the only game that he plays is Fortnite. And he does that because he doesn't have tons of money to spare. And all the main thing that he does is buy the battle pass and play through the levels. And I've been playing quite a lot of that with him. And you do level up much more quickly in Fortnite than you do in Apex Legends. The rewards are constantly coming.
You always feel like you're getting somewhere in that game.
Yeah. But the thing that I do find slightly obnoxious is as soon as you boot the game up, there's an advert.
It is obnoxious, but I would prefer that to them treating me like an idiot, charging a ridiculous amount of money, thinking that they'll just pay for this because they're not going to think about the real value of this. But they try to at least be fair in how much they're trying to pick you for pennies. But Keith, I think there's somebody here who could have an interesting perspective, given that he lives in Las Vegas.
Well,
quick, Matt, quick, say something.
I was gonna say, I spent money on boxes in Counter-Strike. I've got, I think, 90 hours in that game over the entire time that I've owned it. And part of the reason I even spent any money on any skins or boxes is because I only spent $15 on the game. So, whereas I would normally spend
to support the developer.
No, it wasn't to support the developer, but it was my investment in the game versus my time and enjoyment was relative, right? So I agree with what Julian was saying in that regard.
We need to have him on more often. We seem to agree with him a lot.
Quite a bit, yeah. I'm curious.
Dan, you need to buck your ideas up, son.
He's too knowledgeable. I can't.
He's too
compete.
insightful for me.
I mean,
I can't compete. I'm just a Brit.
I think about this stuff all the time, every time, because now, we talk about ads and games and things when I boot up Tekken or Street Fighter or Madden or any of these games, what pops up? I'm a big user experience junkie now, so I'm conscious of things that are popping up in games. I'm looking at the prices, and I think about that stuff all the time, what is fair, what is reasonable, and also who is this stuff for? So I'll give you an easy example. With Fortnite, they did a collaboration, a time, all their collaborations are timed. They did one with Jordan Brand, and as I mentioned previously when I was on, I'm a sneakerhead. So I was like, I don't even really play Fortnite that often. I play it a couple times a month, if that, but I like sneakers. I'd like my in-game avatar to wear some Jordan 1s. Okay, great. And then I saw the price of that thing was $25. So it's for myself, no way. But it's at the same time in my head, I'm still having this conversation, maybe. And then it's then I would learn from other friends who play it way more than I do. It's well, actually, you don't even get all of the Jordan content you're buying. You get half of it, and the other half of it you have to earn using the battle pass. So it's okay, yeah, there's no way. This isn't going to happen. But I was sad that I passed that up. And every time I boot up Fortnite now, I think about man, I really wish I would have got that. But it's the cost. For me, there was no way I was going to pay $25 for that. But I have tons of friends who did, but they play Fortnite every day. So it's again, it comes back to that thing about value is relative, and it's how much you invest time into something, you look at it differently based on that.
I came this close to buying my the Tennessee Titans skin in Fortnite.
Me too. I nearly bought the Eagles jersey. It was the only time I've ever thought about buying anything in Fortnite. And that was the time.
And then I thought, I need to buy V-Bucks, and I need to buy more V-Bucks than I could possibly spend
That's the
to
hustle.
get this.
You always have to buy an amount that's more than what the item costs. It's
Yeah.
usually like $25 for what is actually like an $18 item.
I am curious
Right.
if Disney recognized or realized any measurable increase in ticket sales for Star Wars because of the speech that the Emperor gave inside Fortnite.
Do you know what? I think that would be a big who cares, because
Well-
did you see? Oh my god,
No.
the Star Wars skins! Literally, I booted it up last weekend with my best mate, who has the most insane laugh when he wins. It's worth playing with him just to hear the. That was a poor representation. But literally everyone is running around in either Star Wars skins or we got into a fight we were playing duos. We got into a fight with 6 different duos who were all Harley Quinn.
Wow.
That's awkward.
Wow.
You can't tell who you were shooting and who you weren't, because they were all Harley Quinn, because that was the next thing that they brought in.
Yeah.
In
I
line with
totally missed that.
in line with the movie.
Right.
And so they do so Warner Brothers, DC, and Disney. They will not give a single shit if these people go and watch the films, because they've already banked that money. They've already thought that these films are going to earn X amount of money. If you're Warner Brothers, probably a little bit less than Disney, just by a few, maybe 100 million.
They're so smart though. That's another facet of Fortnite. I feel like we're just heaping praise on Fortnite here, but it's another facet.
Well, this isn't praise. This is just pointing out tactics.
Yeah.
but they are so smart with their monetization, in that they put all of these limited edition items on the store, and people like have an inert value in those items because they take it off and it never appears again, and they have nothing has appeared again. Like I wanted that Harley Quinn costume and I missed it because I was busy with life.
Fuck me! You should have told me. I would have gifted it to you. I had some V-Bucks.
Oh, that's nice of you. I would have gotten you the Star Trek costumes when those came out.
Also, the John Wick stuff in there is incredible too, which I didn't even know they did that one. And I had a friend switch to a John Wick costume. Like, oh yeah, they did a collaboration with John Wick. Like,
yeah.
But and again, the thing is about costumes, and I absolutely agree with Jim Sterling that this stuff is insidious. It is about creating a haves and have-nots culture. So
That's true, yeah.
Matt, I want you to come back onto why you wanted to talk about this, and then just say no, there's nothing we can do about it. So I bought a pair of the PlayStation wireless headphones, and with that, just because there was a bit of a deal in game, I got a free skin for Fortnite, but it's an epic skin. So when I booted it up and I said I was going to change my skin from the fisherman outfit to this thing, my mate just went, "Where the fuck did you get that from?" Because it's only available to those people who bought headphones from Game in the UK. And maybe whoever was doing the deal in other territories. You can't buy that skin in Game.
It's so smart. Like, there's a skin that you can only get with the Nintendo Switch Fortnite bundle. Like, only people that have bought that version of the Nintendo Switch have that skin, and then they can use it on the PlayStation version or whatever. But oh Jesus, you'd hate to be a die-hard Fortnite player, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but it's the whole point is about creating a haves and have-nots culture, and that enforces people to want to spend money or feel like they have to spend money. It's like keeping up with the Joneses type mentality. So, Matt,
nothing you can do about that. There, like,
I think it's
that's
toxic in
gaming
our
industry all over.
It's not even just
Everyone's
gaming, it's
talking
just
over Matt
life.
now. This is great. This is what I live for.
Yeah, it's toxic. I hate it. I hate that shit. It's terrible.
But it works. That's
I
the
know.
problem.
I know it does, but
So, Matt, why do you feel like you wanted to talk about this topic and then basically just say, "There's nothing we can do about it. Thanks very much, everybody. Move on."
Well, no, I was kind of curious just to hear what other people's thoughts were on it, and honestly, what do we think is probably the best way forward for the games industry? Is it in-game advertisements? Is it just to raise the price of games? Do they just start selling games for $120? Do they sell us a bunch of in-game shit? Do they do, marketing tie-ins? The cost of development is high, right? That is a legitimate
Because
argument.
they choose it to be.
Well, I mean,
Sure.
yes and no. I mean, in order to deliver experiences that the everyday average person is going to, buy into.
Right. So
I-
can we focus on something that was announced recently that I think cue the slow fucking hand clap for.
Okay.
CD Projekt Red announced if you buy a copy of Cyberpunk 2077 on Xbox One X, you'll get the upgrade for free.
Yep.
That was already the version I was buying, so that was music to my ears when they put that on Twitter.
Well, you guys are slow clapping now, but what happens when the online is basically GTA Online?
I won't be playing that shit, so don't worry about it.
I mean,
Well,
I honestly don't have a problem with
value
that.
again.
In GTA
But
Online, I will say
I
does a good
I think
job.
they'll do it as well.
Sorry, one at a time. We'll go. Liam, you started talking, then Julian, then Dan.
Okay. I was just saying that the thing with CD Projekt Red is that they're giving you a product right now, like which is Cyberpunk 2077. That's a full experience. It's a single player thing. I mean, I was going to wait and buy that on next gen because I didn't want to play it on a less capable machine. But now I'll buy that at launch and just happily port it over to the PlayStation 5 and play it some more when it comes out.
But the thing is, why are we championing a company for doing something
That should be
that they
obvious.
probably should have been doing in the first place?
Oh yeah.
Well, I think it's a lot of. I think to be honest, before they announced that, I'm pretty sure they did it last generation.
Yeah, well, so Rockstar did it, and no one batted a fucking eyelid. So you buy GTA 5, and we're going to sell you GTA 5 next gen.
Yeah.
I didn't get an upgrade. I bought it on PS3.
I bought both.
No. That wasn't one of them. That was later ported over.
Yeah, because
I remember the games that were at
you try,
launch for
Matt,
PlayStation
you try and
3
plug your PS3 version into your PS4 and see what happens.
Well,
Nothing.
Nothing. Doesn't work.
Nothing. And the same thing is the same thing on Xbox as well. If you look up the GTA Xbox backwards compatible, GTA 5 isn't on it.
I do remember
Julian,
buying.
sorry,
Call of Duty
you were going to say
Ghosts
something
back in the
next.
day. Sorry, go.
Julian, sorry, you were going to say something.
Oh, I was going to say, the thing I would say when you reference GTA Online, where GTA Online doesn't get enough credit for, that game gives you about 4,000 or 5,000 hours of totally free content.
Yeah.
And even if you want to talk about like the GTA money thing, they just gave me $2 million of GTA money for free just for logging in. They do that kind of stuff all the time as well.
Okay.
So like that game, if you take out the stuff that's optional that you can buy, which is other than the shark cards, nothing, all the updates, all the expansions, all the heist stuff, all the story, like that basically has its own, like, I don't ever hear anyone talk about this. That thing basically has its own story mode that's bigger than the in-game story mode, and they keep adding to it. Just the like Doomsday heist thing is about a 15-hour story mode with cinematic cutscenes. All of that is free. So it's like,
I'm
as
really
a
sorry, but
online user, you don't pay anything.
You've got this shadow across your face that makes you look really evil right now. So when you're talking about $2 million.
I mean, I will come back at you a little bit there, Julian. I think while GTA Online's pretty freaking awesome, I do
Liam
think it could be better.
Liam does love his GTA.
Oh yeah, I used to play that with a flatmate constantly. Like, you just get him from university every day and just play it constantly. There's always something new to do. But I mean, they could be a little bit better because whenever a new DLC came out, they'd be advertising it like how it's this great big new heist or something like that. And before you can play it, you'd have to buy like some facility.
Yeah, that's
isn't
true.
Really of any consequence, but they want you to buy it, and that's basically how you would get access to that content.
Yeah.
So they're very smart about how they lock people out of content and make you feel like you're getting something for free when actually you still need to pay for it.
Yeah.
Oh no,
can I jump in quickly?
So go, Dan.
Yeah, sorry. Oh, just on the GTA thing. We had a group of 4, and how we did it was once you did the heists, you got a shit ton of money and you get the 2 million, and then we just rotated. So each person bought the next thing you needed, and that's it. And actually nuking someone is a hell of fun. That is good fun. So whether it costs, I haven't spent a penny in GTA, and I've had hours and hours and hours of fun. But I do see, so I'm more with Julian. I think they do offer a lot more than a lot of other services.
So Liam made a great point, though.
I think they
go on.
Keep going. Liam wants to hear what great point it is.
No, your point? I assume he means that it's gated. Each time it's gated, and I think what they do a good job with is if you've got a group, then you can kind of wangle your money and do it. Otherwise, you're gonna have to spend these shark cards. So I think it's a good way to do it because some friend will go, "Oh, I can't really afford that. I'm a few million off. I'm gonna buy that shark card for like £5. Oh yeah, now we can all jump in and play together." But they do it so only one person needs that content for your group to get involved in it. Exactly. So I think that's quite a good way to So a group of 4 can all get involved.
This is a question that I'd like to ask, and it comes back to the point that I was hoping that I might have made about streaming, which is locking people in or making people feel invested in specific content and experiences. Because we only have so much money to spend. So if we feel like we are getting the most value for our money, like Julian was saying earlier, we're going to naturally gravitate to those things where we're getting the most for our money. Now, I think all of us are slightly different from the normal population in that we want more experiences than we can possibly get from a single type of game or single game. But the thing that concerns me, and Matt and I spoke about this in a very, very early version of this podcast, is about this kind of walled garden approach, which is once you're in and you're locked in, or you feel like you're locked in. If I don't keep playing this game, I'm going to miss out somehow. So if I don't keep playing GTA Online, I'm going to miss out on those 2 million Fortnite Apex bucks.
Monopoly money.
Yeah, and if I am getting this game for technically free as part of my monthly subscription, but I want to play something else that's on a different platform, how can I possibly look to afford that? So it's the thing that concerns me is a compartmentalization of content. I need to work on my accent for my E3 presentation, and then creating a walled garden around it. Well, thank you very much. Everyone was nodding except for Julian, who's just looking slightly pensive.
That's because he's going to say something insightful.
I mean, the thing I was going to say is, like, in terms of, like, back to the original thing you started at the beginning with, like, streaming services, I think about it, gaming has been around for a while, but in terms of the business, it's kind of in its infancy right now. And there's been so many new things introduced, and they're experimenting, and they're trying stuff. So it's in its infancy right now. So when you look at the example I always use is, like, a very mature business is the movie business. So for movies now, we understand that movies come to theaters, then they come to home video, and that you can buy the DVD or the 4K Blu-ray, or you can rent it, but then you can also watch it on television on standard def cable or on HBO or any of the premium channel. We understand that all those things coexist. So for gaming with streaming services, this is a new business. So all these companies are trying to, plot their stake so they can be a part of it. But in the reality, just like with virtual reality, there's going to be winners and losers. And some of these companies are not going to be here in the next even just 2 to 3 years. And those who remain, very likely there's going to be some level of consolidation. Just like there's a deal right now for Disney Plus, you get the bundle that includes Disney Plus, Hulu in the US, and ESPN Plus. That's the future of this stuff, is a lot of these services, the survivors of this first round, are going to consolidate. And that's going to be, so like to your original question of how can people be expected to pay for all these different services, in the end, there's only going to be about 2 or 3 of them that are going to make it. And the 2 or 3 that remain very likely are going to do some kind of business so that your content exists and works and transfers across all those different services.
Right, so who out of Microsoft and Sony is going to do the first deal with Disney?
That's true. That'll be the big one, I think.
Sony.
I know it didn't last very long at all, because Xbox has been paying Sony ever since, and they still are. And this is a thing, like for this technology, and this is the next thing. This streaming thing is a bunch of companies are going to survive, and the other companies are going to have to sell their products to those companies that are doing it successfully. It's just, in this case, it's companies like Apple and Disney and stuff like that. It's just the next phase.
The people who I think are most at risk in this, Sony and Nintendo. So Valve have enough potential outlets to do deals with various different people. Microsoft, they have their own streaming solution, so they could either do their own thing or enter into partnering agreements with other content providers. Because that's what they were trying to do with the original Xbox. It just seems to me like they were too aggressive too soon. I think if they come up with some kind of staged plan, because I do not believe for a second Phil Spencer is one of the he's in the baby seat at the end of the conference table at Microsoft. They are all, the rest of the executives are sat around the table, pinstripe suits, and he's sat there in a capybara fucking t-shirt in the baby seat. Microsoft want software subscriptions. That's what they're after. So they went too hard, too fast, too soon with the Xbox One. And I think what's going to happen going forward is this kind of soft launch of, well, it's actually been not so much of a soft launch of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate and the streaming solution, and you're going to have Series X as your local server, and they're going to be pushing that as their next service solution, because Microsoft are a service industry, they're not a hardware industry. Whereas Sony and Nintendo could be the people on the outside looking in if they're not careful on this.
Keith, well, do you think that
No.
You don't. I think they would have done. Because I know a lot more people who've gone to Xbox and bought an Xbox purely on Game Pass. And I think if they'd had that from
when
launch,
it actually fucking works.
But they didn't have it at launch. It didn't exist. They came up with it because they were shitting themselves. They fucked up.
When now that the Xbox physically fucking
works. Okay, I get what you're saying. Fair enough.
Because when it launched, it was a piece of shit.
Well, fair enough.
So there's going to be the rest of us who ultimately are going to be a mix of PC gamer, console agnostic people who are looking for good exclusives, who are potentially the audience for most of the advertisements that are going to be coming to us. And I'm really struggling to get this out in an articulate way, but I'm trying to do it better than a guy who actually teaches English for a living. Dan, you don't teach English, do you?
I teach chemistry.
That's cool.
Biology. So the coronavirus is a daily topic in my classroom. The kids are all asking me the biology behind it. I'm like, yeah, if it mutates, we're all fucked.
Well, don't forget, it could mutate and it could be beneficial to us all.
Yeah, it's true. It could. It can do that too.
It's actually far more likely for a virus to mutate in a way that is actually beneficial for us.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed.
Well, it could mutate in a way that gives us all some kind of innate immunity against the normal influenza virus.
Wow, that would be cool.
That would be cool.
It won't.
I said it could be a zombie apocalypse. Who knows?
Actually, do you know what? I actually think I'd be pretty good in a zombie apocalypse.
I've been training for years, Keith. All those episodes of The Walking Dead finally going to come in handy.
I was thinking Shaun of the Dead. That's my training video.
Either that, or I've just got a lifetime worth of voice acting voicing zombies.
Keith, I have a prediction for you.
Is it we're all going to be zombies? And
no, don't worry.
Sony
Thankfully,
release
it has nothing to do with coronavirus.
Final version of their streaming game solution that actually fucking works.
Well, you know how you said that you see Sony and Nintendo coming out worse from the streaming wars that are coming.
Mm-hmm.
I don't actually, and I think Sony are very smart to align themselves with Microsoft and their cloud technology. And I'm pretty sure Nintendo aren't far behind. I mean, they're already partnering with Microsoft on these things. You know, the big three are the established games industry, and I think they all want to protect each other's interests.
Oh, they're staving off fights from Apple and Amazon.
Yeah.
Not Apple so much. It's Amazon and Google they need to worry about.
Google they don't need to worry about based on current experience.
Don't underestimate them. The Stadia's a train wreck right now, but Google are extremely rich and they want to have control over every market.
The guy who's in charge of Google at the moment does not get games.
He doesn't get games, but he sure as hell wants all the money that's associated with the industry.
Yeah.
And all you need is somebody that isn't an idiot like Phil Harrison running things, and things could change significantly. But my prediction is that it's not going to be Sony or Nintendo that are on the decline because of streaming. It's going to be PC gaming.
Oh, you think Valve? People are coming for Valve?
Not necessarily Valve, but PC gaming as a hobby, as a culture, is going to be on the decline next generation.
And in your cards right now, people. Liam has called it.
Liam,
Master Race cards.
Liam, is that because you think people will stream on tablets and phones? Is that why you're saying that?
It's actually a variety of things that are all happening at the same time that is not going to be helpful for PC gaming. It's not just the cloud technology and streaming becoming more, remote play is becoming a big deal. Steam are smart to get on that as well. But it's also the new consoles. Now, what people don't realize about the new consoles is the most important thing about the new consoles is solid state.
They're all. Well, I thought you were going to say something different. Then I thought you were going to say the most important thing about the new consoles is they will all be your local server.
Well, that too, I suppose, but no.
I think is so solid state. Yes, load times brilliant. You can have the recent Digital Foundry videos about what the different solid state can do. I think that the thing that Microsoft and Sony are really getting hooked into is these machines will be your local server, so it should deal with any of the problems. What the hell am I doing?
with your hands.
I
I'm
don't
not
know.
sure.
You're playing a weird game. Yeah.
So the problems that I've personally had with PlayStation remote play being a piece of shit.
Yeah, that isn't like
those things
cloud
should be
is-
gone, because the new consoles will have the technology in them for those machines to be your local server to run that stuff basically in your living room. So whatever device, it doesn't matter if you're hardwired or anything, shouldn't matter. These things will run to the Beerumverate server PC that we've got here, or your phone or whatever, perfectly.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that people want to get into. Now
that isn't my point though. My
I know, but I want. Matt hasn't spoken enough, so I needed to step on someone's tongue.
This is important though. I mean, I just want to finish my point, because that was the important point to it. Is it's not cloud that's the important thing. It's actually ease of access. And the thing with solid state on PCs had solid state for years, but solid state doesn't work the same way on a PC that it can on a purpose-built piece of hardware like a PlayStation 4 and Xbox Series X. Just the ease that consumers are going to have, like with those machines, just having everything they want instantly there. They're going to get tired of using their PCs. And they're going to see the differential of being able to play a game like that to be a big sort of hanging point, as opposed to slightly better graphics. That's what I think.
It works.
And then also the cloud isn't going to help with that at all. Either.
So you've got dual loading games, which is what Microsoft announced. We've got kind of pretty far away from the topic.
What does dual loading games even mean? Does that mean you're going to have playing two games at once?
Well, you've got one that you can play and one that's just sat in the background.
Why?
You know how?
Why do I want that?
You know how with your PlayStation right now you can put it into rest mode, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and then it comes back exactly where you were last playing.
So I could have two games like that. Is that what it is?
Probably
potentially
up to 4.
more than 2. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's basically emulator side options. So like I have emulators on my phone, like N64, PlayStation, and it's like they have quick load. So it's like I can just jump right in at that. Like there's no you going through the menu, press start. You see all the engine, all the middleware technology. Sponsored.
And
by
then my console crashes and I lose all my saves. It sounds like it's going to be great.
Right, so I'd like to announce that all of these features and more are available on the Beerumverate server for a measly £349.99.
It was 28 quid a month.
Well, it's gone up since. That's inflation. That's Brexflation for you.
Brexflation, yeah.
All right. On that note,
right, Matt.
Should we call it?
No, Matt, don't you fucking dare close this down without giving us a closing statement. You're the one who instigated this shit.
What type of
closing? So you can wrap up the conversation for us and then close us out, and then we can talk over the closing music like we normally do.
All right, okay. I'm going to disagree with Liam. This might be a first for that. I don't think that PC gaming is going away or will be in any way affected by the new consoles, because people want to be able to build their machine, have a custom experience, tinker with all of these settings and all the things that you won't be able to do with consoles.
So I don't think it will die off, but I think it will become a lot more niche. I think it's going to lose a lot of market. That would be my point. I don't think PC gaming will
even more hardcore.
It might.
So the master race will become the master race.
Exactly. Yeah.
It will become.
So Matt, I'm coming back to. Do you think that there is any chance that there is any scope for differential monetization in video games going forward?
No.